this paper, just a horizontal side, and just to come down a third. You could estimate it, but I'm just going to show you the measuring again. The 0 goes to the bottom of the page, and since it's difficult to divide 8.5 into thirds, I'm just going to rotate this till it matches 9, because 9 is much more easily divided than 8.5 by 3. So there it is. There's a mark at 6, which is 3 inches this way, and 3 again if you want to divide it that direction. To get a horizontal line, just repeat it down a little bit further away to give yourself another measuring line. So 0 to 9 puts it right there. So I have these two lines. It's very easy to just put the pen right on a point, put the ruler butt up against it, and just gently rotate it around till it matches this other. And I made what they call a caret, because it's the corner where that piece intersects with the two lines that becomes the segment. So I'll just make a heavy line, and this again represents the horizon line, and that is also the eye level. I'll just put a line right here. And the points that end of the piece, we're just going to call those the vanishing point left, VP, and over here VP, vanishing point for the right. Okay? Right in the middle here is where you want to kind of establish the rectangular shape, and your ruler, your scale also has this too. It's just this line where you can line it up to get a vertical piece. Otherwise you do it using a T-square and a triangle, but I'm just going to estimate that I want it to be about that high and just try to make it a vertical line. So it's the same process that we've done before. Just kind of illustrate that up a little bit. Doesn't matter how tall you make it, but that's the line segment. And from the top and the bottom, you're taking that to both the vanishing point to the right and the left. So I'm going to go heavy and then just let it get lightly as it goes in the distance, because I know I don't need all of it, but it also emphasizes the aerial perspective of things, distance going in the background. So it gets lighter, thinner, and the weight of the line gets a little variety that way. So again, I can put the line right there and just have it go off in the distance there. So just a slight perspective, and that establishes the front of the box, but it doesn't make the box itself. So that I have to kind of estimate where I want it and put in a vertical line for it. And do the same on this side. And again, I'm just using the scale. You guys have it, you can just establish that piece. So now I have both a left and a right side, and the diagonal lines, as some of you come on, will figure that out. But for the top of this, you're just taking it back. And again, just making this a little bit heavy in the foreground, because I know it's going to be cut off. And I'm doing this in pen, which is fine. I like the pen. And this will come back, not too far, but I know I need enough for the next shape that comes back to here. Okay? So you're using this to help you measure. Now you can do this any direction. It can also, if you can imagine it, rotating to be any part. I just need to find the center of this. So I'm going to cross the diagonals, but I'm not going to make too heavy of a line. I just know I need a segment right in about the middle here. And the same with the other piece. So just put the point of the pen on a corner, rotate the pen to the scale, and that gives me the center point right there. Okay. Now, same idea. It's coming to this vanishing point. If it was an isometric drawing, it would be parallel, but since we're doing perspective, it's going to radiate right from this vanishing point. I'll just make a light line right there. So that's the measuring line. So here's the tricky part. You have to, if you had this flat as a checkerboard, it would make sense as well. But you're just going from this point to here to extend it down below. I'm just going to do one of these, but you can see, eventually we'll try some other ones. This is just a measuring line, so I'm just going to do it lightly. I just need this part right there, because that's projecting where that measurement is. This is now in proportion to this perspective drawing, And here I can line it up again using the bottom of the scale on the paper to make it vertical. And now I can heavy this line up because I know that's going to be the second part. So that's the second section. Now I just have to finish off the top. And there you have it in perspective. I tried to make it so that these were open-ended. So I'm just going to line up the pen right there, take the ruler, scale, just make it so that it's a open-ended box shape in there. And like I said, boxes are the easiest thing to do in perspective, and that gives me that line. When I mentioned the linear perspective, that's what this is. When you shade it, obviously it gets a little, loses the lines and becomes just the shading part. I'm just trying to emphasize the line weight on this just so you can see it a little bit easier. And then I'll demonstrate one last piece on there. So that gives you that section. So to prove that that measuring device works, make it very easy, is to just take a square, like so, just freehand it, cross the diagonal lines to find the center, and then begin to cross those. So now that becomes 4 squares. And if you look at it, if this was in perspective, you'd have the same concept. So here's the 2 panels. There's the front one, that would be that one. And in order to project this one, you just divide it. That would give me that center line right there. So there's the center, kind of showing an orthographic view, meaning the front view of these 2 side panels. And since the diagonals cross and everything lines up, that's where that piece becomes into that section. So you can kind of see how this connects itself. So the diagonal section, here's the diagonal right here. So here's the center point that's right here. This corner goes here, and this one here. So if you cross these, you can see that that's showing me that corner. But now if you can imagine that that's up on a side panel like that, and at an angle, that's proving that piece in geometry and also in the 3-dimensional illusion of the perspective. Okay? And then as you get in here, just kind of lightly shade this, and like I said, any panel that you see, just going to kind of give this gradient. I'm trying to get you to think of Illustrator, and if you're just sketching it out, even if I do it in pen or pencil, I'll give a couple directions. I'll switch back to pen. Is if I create it so that the lines, the hatch lines, go with the vanishing point, it just emphasizes the direction and the scale and the shading as well. And the distance that I put them, so you can use the graphite or the pencil. And if you do a darker value, just do the opposite, which is a crosshatch. So here's the proof of the 2 panels. Made off a bigger one, but nevertheless, that's where the center is. This is just a diagonal, much larger diagonal, and it just repeats itself. Very good.